yes. Atlanta Discuss. We're here again. So today, it's Christmas period, we know. So I'll say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The Australians will tell me just say good day, but then I know some people are about to sleep, some are midday, and some are just waking up. It's a big world, 7 billion people, 7 continents, Antarctica, Australia, Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Europe. Yes, the world keeps changing. The largest concentration of Black people still remains Nigeria. Now, we all know Nigeria is majorly known for oil as its major source of income,
It's
but there are
17
other
hours.
things, there are other things that Nigeria is seriously endowed with. That's why today we need to look at how to diversify that economy. It's not just enough to come here and criticize and say Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. Let's look for solutions. And we have these scholars we always bring in. My word is erudite, people that are very good at what they do. If they are true to power, they earn their epaulets, and rightly so. So today we're bringing one of our old guests, not old in age, but somebody that's been with us from the beginning, but has not been here in a while. His name is Bamidele Ayemibo. Bamidele Ayemibo, welcome to Atlanta Discuss.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So, we're talking about goods and services Nigeria can leverage on to increase productivity. We've been told over and over that we're a consuming nation, that we're not really producing anything. And I follow you a lot, you've talked about what can be exported from cashew nut to cocoa to yam flour, even to the most rudimentary of stuff. So that's why I just brought you here. That be one or two, three, even probably 10 people that'll pick from what you're going to say. People pay to listen to you. I know that you're the best at what you do. So let me introduce you again, because I know you've not been here in a while. Bamidele is popularly known as the export king. That's what is fondly called. He's an internationally recognized business consultant, and a marketing expert. If you ask our Lagos Chambers of Commerce, Lagos Business School, they know him. He's the lead consultant at 3T Impact Trade Consulting Group. He's also a trade consultant with numerous trade certifications. He's the first certified specialist in demand guarantee in Nigeria, and among the first 10 in the continent of Africa. That's not easy feat. He holds a master's in international business with law from Salford University, Manchester, United Kingdom, a PhD in international business marketing with LIGS University, that's Hawaii in the United States of America. He conceived, designed, and facilitated the training of the first export diploma program and 6th trade professional development program in Africa in conjunction with the American Institute of Extended Studies. So you see why here he is the man for the job, So that Bamidele, welcome once again. So we need to find out what are the goods and services we should leverage on. So in our tradition, let's just go for juggler. I know everybody's busy. I know you have a lot of probably have a plane to catch somewhere, So we're going to break it into phases, We're going to look at diversification and comparative advantages,
Okay.
Yeah, human capital and skill development, infrastructure and logistics, technology and innovation. If we have time, we can look at finance and investment, and that I would call it a day. So what goods and services can Nigeria produce and export to take advantage of the comparative advantages, So a follow-up to that, so that I won't let you talk two times on that. How can Nigeria diversify its economy to reduce dependence on oil export? So you can take those two together.
All right. Thank you again for having me, and well done for all that you do. I also follow you.
Thank you.
Invite different people.
I know. It's,
different people, discussing different issues, which make a lot of sense. And trying to help. We can't stop talking. We keep talking about it, putting the information out there. You can never tell the day the information will get to the ear of those that need to hear and probably take some decision and action about it. So Absolutely. Even if you're not getting the response here, does not mean we have to stop. But going back to your question, it's interesting each time I look at what we're capable of doing. And that's why the conclusion for many people, and I agree with them, the challenge is just leadership, actually, because we have all that it takes for us to be able to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve, particularly when you come to issue of revenue for the government and you hear about the fact that, we don't have money, we have to go and borrow. But smaller countries are paying off their debt. You know, this guy in Burkina Faso now, I saw a news. I mean, how much money is being made because they are living a simple and modest life, able to conserve the resources and able to pay off their debt without needing to borrow or getting help from anywhere because the country is endowed. You know, so Nigeria, for example, we are dependent on oil, which constitutes about 80 to 85% of Nigerian export. Now, but there's so many other things Nigeria can export. Now, apart from oil, crude oil, and gas, Dangote and a number of other companies have added fertilizer to it. So fertilizer is another big one. Now, what I will try to do is I will do a rundown of top 10, top 15 items that Nigeria can export based on the top item Nigeria currently export. Then, what's interesting for me there is to compare the percentage of Nigerian export in that space to the global demand. So when you look at the global demand, you just realize that even without much support on the part of the government, even with little in terms of number of exporters exporting these products in Nigeria, you just realize suddenly that there's so much opportunity. It might interest you to know that as big as Nigeria is, our top export, we are not meeting up 2%.
Oh, wow.
2% of global demand of our top export. From top export, I mean crude oil and gas, to fertilizer, to oil seeds like sesame seed, to cocoa product and cocoa preparation, to edible nuts like cashew nut, granite, to aluminium product, to ship and boat floating structures, to copper and articles of it, to ores and slag, to nuclear reactor boiler machineries, to plants, plant-like products, to lead, minerals, tobacco, raw hide and skin, fish, rubber and its article, coffee, plastic. All these products I've mentioned, Nigeria currently export them. But what's interesting is that Nigeria is exporting, as of 2023, Nigeria has got over $55 billion of crude oil. But that's less than 2% of global demand for crude oil. So if you look at the fact that there's so many products, in fact, Nigerian Promotion Council confirmed that Nigeria export last year was over 200 items. That means 200 different items that Nigeria exported. But when you look at the volume we are doing, is so small. Fertilizer, Nigerian contribution is 1.08%. Cocoa, Nigerian contribution for cocoa is 1.23%. 1.23%. So when you look at what Nigeria is capable of doing, vis-a-vis what we are doing compared to the demand on the world, you realize that we are nowhere at all. And that's a good news for me, meaning we are not maximizing our potential, meaning we see our potential yet to be realized. That means if we get serious, then we can actualize this, which it get me excited to talk about some of these things. I mean, like you said, we'll be trying to educate about different products Nigeria export. We've done about 40 of them. I'll try to do it every now and then. And each time I go through it and look at what we have done compared to what we're capable of doing, it just tells us that, look, if we are not really very serious and we're doing this much, then when we are serious, we can do more, and we can do much more, because what we are doing right now is pretty much like, it's like we are doing it by default. No active support and effort on the government. Most of them are private sector driven, and many private are not even there, because as of today, as of last year, total exporter in Nigeria are not up to 1,500. United Kingdom, a population of about 70 million people, over 100,000 exporters. United States, almost 300,000 exporters. Nigeria, 1,500. Not even 1,500 exporters. What is painful about this is the major exporters have reached their peak. Because they have reached their peak, they can't do beyond unless they do new investment to build their capacity. Meaning, if we are going to grow the I was just saying that we have enough potential and there's a lot of room for improvement. And I was saying that these are why I get excited, the fact that we are not doing so much. we have so much we can do, and there's sort of room for improvement. So if we begin to get serious, then we can begin to do a lot more than what we are doing right now.
Oh, fantastic. So now, I mean, diversification, comparative analysis, advantages, you've said that even the oil, I think our OPEC quota is about 2 million barrels a day. I think we're doing about 1.4, 1.5 thereabout. So we're not even maximizing that. I think that's part of what you're trying to say. So, I mean, looking at sesame seeds, fertilizer, there's room for improvement, but we're also not leveraging on that. And, so let's look at, I know you said so much on this in the past, so let's just look at human capital development and all that, So now, my first question to you on this is about brain drain. People are leaving, the youth of this country, they are living in droves, and they don't look like the type that want to come back. Canada, some are even going to old Soviet country, Latvia, Georgia, and they're adding values. Nigeria are extremely brilliant people, You have our youths all over United States. People are in Brazil now, just to imagine the Caribbean still. So how can we, stop the top talents leaving the country? Because at the end of the day, we will have a manpower problem, even when we have the requisite leadership. What do you think? I know you are still here, so that's good news.
If we don't give priority to talent, if we decide to look away from talent and use tribalism and use nepotism and use man no man to give opportunity, the talent is going to leave. It's going to leave and go to places where it's going to be appreciated. What has happened to us is the fact that we do not appreciate our talent. Before I came on board, I was looking at some data for professionals in Nigeria. I stumbled on it on LinkedIn, and I saw the one for doctors, in particular in the medical field. And I see some states have less than 10 dentists, less than 10 in a whole state, dentists.
Oh, wow. Well,
less than 1,000 doctors in states that have millions of citizens. So, talent, because, you say what?
It might interest you to know that in the United States of America, 7 out of 10 Black doctors are Nigerians.
Are
Nigerians, that's a fact.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Black,
I'm not surprised. I have a lot of friends who are doctors who are in the US that were together in Unilag, who are a lot of friends who are doctors in the US. So that's just an example. And the solution is simple. If today we begin to give talent priority, we begin to give them opportunity, we begin to give them what is due to them, I can assure you they will definitely come back. So, but when they are not being appreciated, when no one appreciated them, when it's like, look, being here is like nobody, they don't even want to see me in the first place. You want to do something, you see that these are people that can get it done, but you rather go for people who will not be able to, because you probably are not even interested in the thing being done. You are just interested in showing people you did it, as in ceremony. So, for example, we want to do a project, we spend a lot of time and energy and money on ceremony. We'll do groundbreaking or launching. We'll do the unveiling, whatever it is, commissioning. So at the end of the day, we spend so much money. That news is more important to some people than the real work at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, I do some things for some financial institution in Nigeria. We want to do something. We've come about the idea, application proposal, and it's time to do it. When they are going to do some of those events, the paparazzi, the goodwill, the people, at the end of the day, the real substance of what is to be done is probably going to give you a very small time. The same attitude. So there's nothing we can do about brain drain if we don't create opportunity for the brain, for the talent to thrive locally. They're not being appreciated, they're not being well rewarded. They definitely are going to go to the places where they are being rewarded. And it's cut across every area. It's affecting trade, it's affecting medicine, it's affecting different. In fact, there was a particular financial institution that a particular week, almost a whole unit left, almost at a particular time, and it affected their technology so badly within that period because majority of the technology people in the unit left. And where did they go? North America, Canada, and the US. Oh, so wow. If you're going to fix that problem, if the people begin to see what is happening to their colleagues that remain and are behind in terms of how they are being appreciated, in terms of opportunity, in terms of the value they are able to create because of the environment, you are going to see what someone will call brain gain, those people coming back into the country.
Fantastic. So I also observed that the third world countries are breaking even now that have been technologically advanced. Have invested a lot in vocational education. In Nigeria, there's so much emphasis on university degrees and all that. So I want to find out from you, what are the what kind of type of vocational training, that we need to equip Nigerians? Just give me some specific. Also, as in what skills and training programs we need to imbibe for now? I mean, not just
very important. We are trying to grow non-oil export. We're trying to grow our forex. Identifying, number one, the products we want to export and the skill required to develop the talent that will produce those products. That is what I think we need right now. If we can fix that, if we can get that done, it will make our work a lot easier. So what we've not done for many years is you have people going to school and what they are learning is far cry from what they will eventually do when they are leaving the school or when they left the school eventually, because what they are learning on campus is not useful in the world of today. You still wonder why some courses are still being studied. Not because those courses are useless, but given the kind of environment where we are and the kind of skill and talent required, we shouldn't be spending a lot of human resources channeling to those particular courses. But because, the courses we should be focusing on, for example, look at medicine, for example. Considering the fact that we have brain drain, that's the reason why we need to build more medical school, more school of nursing. Because some will still live, which is not bad in itself, because some countries do this, ship the people out to be able to send in back foreign direct investment and remittances that contribute to the economy of the country. But so we should now begin to look at growing what are the talents that are required in the medical field, for example, in manufacturing, for example, particularly value addition, in agro-processing, for example. In fact, agro-processing for me is very, very key. Agro-processing, for example, and ensuring that we now build institutions that will develop the skill in those areas, so that, including farming, so that we can increase, number one, our output in mining and farming, and then increase the value addition and then the export of those products. Because one of the major reasons we have issues with export, even for those exporting, one of the major issues is also skill. Like you said, skill. A lot of people will come into this space, they will have done the shipment, they will have had issues before they realize that these are what they could have done to prevent this from happening. But because they don't have the skill, at the end of the day, it's after the shipment has been done, they realize they have made mistake, and eventually we'll be learning in retrospect and spending more after they've lost money. That's even if they remain in the business in the first place. So the skill should be channeled towards, there are some courses that we shouldn't be having in Nigeria. I don't want to mention any, so I won't disparage any course, but some of you shouldn't be having. We should be, if a state is starting, so a state say, okay, we're setting up a university. What would the university do? The first question is, what does the state need? What does the state need in agri, in technology, in processing, in manufacturing, in health? The university should have faculty that will turn out skilled people in those areas. Don't just set a university because we want to have a university. Just the way, because, every state after university, we must have a university. Why are we setting it up? What is it focusing on? So that at the end of the day, they call it from gown to town. As the people are graduating and having their graduating gown, they are going to town where they are solving problems for people and for the state in general.
Oh, wow. You were saying something about some countries intentionally exporting people to study abroad. Yeah, the Chinese, the Iranians, the Indians, and the Filipinos. Yeah, they come.
Filipinos, yes.
Yeah, in the Maths Olympiad, I think Iran and China have been winning it almost back to back for about 10 years, I think. But I think Iran is very active and Chinese. I'm not really sure the statistic. But I do know that in the US, they study in very Ivy League American school scholarships, sometimes sponsored from the country. They get good grades, they're employed, and they work sometimes 2, 3, maximum 5 years, and they go back to their country of origin to impact that knowledge. Sometimes going back to earn less or even nothing or next to nothing to impact that. I don't think we're doing that. And that's why it goes back to what you're saying, that the environment is not conducive at all. Because based on my research, there's almost no country in the world today that you don't have a Nigerian impacting that country, technologically, medically, or one way or the other. There are always at least a Nigerian or two. Even in technologically advanced countries, you see Nigerians everywhere. So it's not the lack of capacity. It just goes back to the leadership issue. We would say that we have to find a way for all these people. So, let's talk about infrastructure and logistics. What is lacking in this regard when you talk about export, import? Is it that the bureaucracy at the port system? Because I've heard people say, for example, that when they travel abroad, the immigration process into most of these countries is next to nothing. But in Nigeria, you have to meet custom, immigration, SSN, DEA, this and that. I'm told they've tried to reduce it to barest minimum. In the port also, which is it's a yardstick for measuring things when you import or even export that, the procedure too is quite cumbersome. So what do we need to do in area of infrastructure, details, analysis, or do we need new laws? Or what is lacking? Can you shed some light on in that area?
In terms of infrastructure, now, if I look at logistics and infrastructure, in terms of the process at the port, there is a significant improvement. I export regularly. Like every other month, I'm exporting. So there's an improvement, no doubt. In fact, just at the twilight of Buhari's administration into this administration, there have been improvements. So delay at the port is not the issue. The issue we need to deal with right now is the cost of doing business. The cost of doing business. So in many developed countries, I don't need to take my good to the port. I take my good to a nearby inland container terminal that have a rail terminal. So that means my good will be loaded on the rail from that point, and from there it goes to the port. Now, what that does for me is, number one, it reduces significantly my cost of doing business. Cost of moving goods from one part of the country to the other is a very major cost today for most export transactions in the country. So if we are going to drive that cost down, we need to devise other means of moving the goods. It can't be by truck on the road. It has to be by train on rail to the port. Luckily, the rail now have reached the port in Apapa in Lagos, but the rate at which the container are coming in is not so good because the rail system also is still just coming up and developing, not there yet. So we need more rail to be able to move goods to the port. If we're able to achieve that and then be able to ensure the inland container terminal from Kano to Kaduna to Benin to Port Harcourt to Oyo, Ogun State into Lagos, if we're able to ensure those inland container terminals are developed with the right support, with rail terminal, then it becomes a lot easier for me, instead of spending over ₦1 million to move a 30-ton truck from Kano to Lagos, probably spending less than 300, 400,000 to move the same truck to Lagos. That will have cut my cost by over 60, 70%, and that will have made me to be more competitive, because currently, Naira devaluation is an advantage for export. But unfortunately, we are not productive. So it is not an advantage. It's creating imported inflation because we are import dependent. Whereas US have accused the like of Japan, the like of China of manipulating their currency, devaluing their currency to make their export more attractive, to encourage export out of the country. We are devaluing our currency and we are unhappy with devaluation because we are not taking advantage of it on the export side. So in as much as there's devaluation, that should make us increase earning in Naira, but the cost of doing business is not helping the matter. So But in terms of infrastructure, the rail infrastructure, I think, is more important. We also need other ports in Nigeria. We shouldn't be looking at, we already have Apapa Port. We now have Lekki Port. We are thinking of Badagry Port. So what happened to East? What happened to South? Why can't we have this port in diverse other locations so that we don't concentrate in Lagos? At the end of the day, and congestion again happening. The people in Lekki now, I don't know how they would deal with it. If they don't finish the road to that port on time or rail out of that port on time, situation in Apapa might be transferred to Lekki very soon because that's a bigger port that can take bigger vessels than even what we have in Apapa. So infrastructure about building ports in other locations of the country, which I know have been bedeviled with politics. If majority of the importers in Nigeria are from the southeastern Nigeria, why will southeastern Nigeria not have a very functional port? Because they have access to the sea, like Anambra, for example. Why would they have access to the port? Those are the issues that we need to deal with, which is why people believe that it seems as if there's a deliberate effort just to reduce the growth or the impact or the effect or influence of the Southeasterner, maybe because we are yet to recover from the trauma of the Biafra War, because you wonder the reason why we are still doing this even how many years after, you know? So those are my take on infrastructure. But in terms of the agency at the port, quite frankly, they can improve, no doubt. But as far as I'm concerned, right now, they are not doing badly at all. I can move in my container into the port, into the terminal at the port, and I can move it from the terminal to the port in a week. I can target to ship in the next 2 weeks, and it will be done within the next 2 weeks. That can be done now in Lagos. So the only thing is that the cost of getting that done is high because of infrastructure challenges, which is impacting on the cost of doing business and not making us enjoy the value and the benefit of the exchange rate we are having right now, which is supposed to be a very good positive for the export business in Nigeria.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you as a follow-up, actually, that what's happening at Onne Port, what's happening at Calabar Port, you know, I know there are 1 or 2 ports like Cocoa in Delta State. So you've answered my question in that area.
60-70% is Lagos Port. 60-70%. But majority of the importers are not in Lagos.
Let me ask you this. Why is it that countries like Niger, you know, prefer going through Lomé or Cotonou for their business and not Lagos?
No, let me reverse that question. Why is it that some Nigerians are shipping out through
Benin and Lomé, through Cotonou and not through Lagos? Oh, wow.
Nigerians are moving, particularly from the north, rather than coming to Lagos. They will move through the border, enter Benin, enter Togo to ship out their goods. Now, the problem I have with that is it doesn't show in Nigerian export volume because it's going to show in the data of those countries, even though the price originates from Nigeria. Why? Costs of doing business, challenges at the port. Although most of the reasons why people were doing it have been solved now, the only reason why people will do that now is the cost of moving it to Lagos, if it's high compared to that. Of course, they will still do it. But about the delay and issues at the port, that have been significantly reduced. Then people will do it also for documentation. Now, you know, sometimes Nigerian government, and this is with successive government, when we are taking decisions, and it looks like sometimes the government, civil servant, government people, it's like they see the private sector, particularly business people, as if they are fighting with them, as if we are competing. So you are going to take a decision, but you don't think you need the people in that decision. So there's a problem. For this problem, rather than do a stakeholder engagement, this is what we're about to do. We want to now impact your business. What are the suggestions you want to have? They just go ahead and do it unilaterally. Now, when the decision backfire, or some people sabotage it, or they don't get the result, then they will now do stakeholder engagement. But that could have been done ab initio, before you even start. So you see decision being taken that is sabotaging, hindering. We need Forex, but we're taking decisions that are hindering discouraging exporter from bringing in forex. So if an exporter does not want to bring in forex, want to bring in forex, but want to declare like a regular FX to be able to sell in the parallel market, he will not do NXT, he will not do documentation. He will go through Benin, Togo. Because with that, the money comes to him, record is not in Nigeria. Nigeria is not even, the only thing you see is that he received money, he can claim the money for anything.
Oh, wow.
And we are losing those opportunities for us to be able to grow our export volume because we are now having a situation in which people are discouraged by the policy of the government as far as handling their export proceeds is concerned. So, for example, before Emefiele administration in CBN, Soludo defined unfettered access to forex. If I'm an exporter, I have unfettered access, meaning I can access the FX, I can withdraw it, I can exchange it, I can sell it to the bank, and that makes the rate to be stable, both in the parallel and official, very close. Now, there is control over the one coming into the, on the one for export. And they redefine unfettered access as the fact that I can use it for anything, but I can't withdraw cash. I can't sell to anyone I want. I can't sell to anyone I want. I must sell to, imagine telling people to sell to organizations that will control the price.
Oh, wow.
So I must sell to bank will determine the price. And we talk about law of demand and supply, that if we allow dollar to come in and people to sell to, and it's allowed to sell to anyone, if I feel the supply increase, and that should naturally bring down the price. I'm just thinking of law of demand supply. But in the bid to look good about official exchange rate, we control the price because we say we are devaluing. But by controlling the price, some people will just go and ship out through other means. We won't declare that they are exporting from Nigeria at all. The good is originating from Nigeria, but it's shipped out through our neighbor because of government policies.
All right. Because of your background, I'm going to ask you this. The next thing we want to look at is technology and innovation. But before we go into that, now I want to talk about subsidy. You know, you've been saying a lot about shipping, going through and all that, because the subsidy regime, the real fraud, I think, is about the importation, the ship movement and all that. What exactly is the lacuna there? What's happening there? Well, what are we getting wrong there in the area of imports? Are we really subsidizing? I mean,
a subsidy, right? For crude oil.
Yes, correct. What's really happening? What's the cocoa, like they say in Nigeria? What's the nitty-gritty? What are we missing there? Why do we still end up paying some very humongous amount of money? You know, even when they say they've stopped it, you know, nobody in this government, for example, can come out and categorically tell us they've stopped paying subsidy. You know, I'm yet to hear anything categorical about that. You understand? I mean, despite the fact that Dangote is refining, we're told Port Harcourt is doing the same, but it does seem like there's still a lot of importation. What's happening?
Yes. So, sorry, I had a little. I want to recap what you said to be sure I got your question. I had a little glitch in the network. You're talking about what really is the issue with subsidy. Why?
We have so much.
What's the problem with subsidy?
Yes, what's the problem with subsidy? I understand, I know our refineries have not worked for a while. Now we have a functional refinery, Dangote, but we're still importing. Why? Now, let me tell you, Pakistan has the same population with Nigeria. You understand? We are told maybe we consume about 50 to 60 million liters a day. Pakistan does about 10 or 12 million a day. You understand? Just with the same numbers of cars and everything. Why is ours different? Is a fraud being perpetrated? Are there some people milking the system? Or it's just that we just don't get it right? And why is it so difficult for 4 refineries to work? Especially now that we have a functional one. What's happening?
Okay, so this is what's happening. The issue is corruption. Okay. You know, let me backtrack a little.
All right.
When Buhari was coming in, the reason there was high hopes, like this guy will fight against corruption, this guy we believe, and indeed he wanted to. Indeed he wanted to. But the people that brought him in are the people who will dictate what he will do. We cannot raise money to bring you in, and then you want to go and get, in code, clean people to come to the government. Where were they when we were campaigning for you? And this was the question one ambassador was telling us. We went for we're trying to do a partner with Nigeria embassy in Cote d'Ivoire for a program. We're talking to the ambassador then, and the ambassador was telling us, said, the politician will tell you, where were you when we were campaigning? Where were you when we were campaigning? So that's the question to ask. Now, the people that are holding the oil sector hostage are politicians, powerful politicians in government. So it's difficult for the establishment to eliminate them, to get them off, to stop it, because it's from top down. I mean, look at what this guy was saying recently. Is it Folution now? That was arrested, that said among the oil bunker.
Yeah, Fisayo. He's been my guest, yeah.
Yes, Fisayo. So Fisayo was talking about how they bribe the military. And I was talking about how these people are well connected. Now, so when you look at it has become a business. Same for subsidy. A governor came and told the president, I'm tired of free money. Stop this thing. And he was not arrested.
only in Nigeria.
And he was not arrested. I'm tired. They just give me credit in my account. I saying this money is too much. Now, because we have led this thing for a long time to fester, it has made it difficult for the government to be able to stop the people feeding on the system. So, since I can't stop them, I will stop it. Since I can't stop them, I will stop it. So that means the state has become incapable of taming these people. And the only reason is because these are the people that typically fund the election. They are the one. So they are so powerful that they have all the politicians, the power brokers around them, and they know they're all together in this. In order to ensure this stop, we will rather stop paying it rather than stop the people. Dangote made a statement. He said, we can track every truck loading from our terminal to anywhere in the country. To anywhere in the country. Now, if Dangote make that statement, he can track any truck loading from his terminal to anywhere in the country. My question is this. If indeed, now, there are different issues with subsidy. Number one, fuel tankers, vessels coming into Nigeria, not unloading the goods, but have documentation that it came in as if it unloaded and went back. And then you claim subsidy on that. And the people who will eventually move the the petroleum product across the border to sell to other country and claim subsidy from Nigeria, which is why I explained the reason why you said our volume is way, way higher than expected. Because it's not just Nigeria consuming. When the subsidy was removed and the price of petrol went to Nigeria, our neighbors were complaining. They were riot. They were angry. They were particularly the border city with Nigeria, in Cameroon, in Niger, because they enjoy the benefit of this. But Dangote said, we can track. So why can't we allow Dangote to track? I'm of the opinion that crude oil is Nigerian product, right? We can sell to Dangote in Naira. We can give Dangote discount. So we know where we are paying the subsidy to. Give Dangote and tell Dangote, based on the price we are giving you crude oil in Naira, sell to Nigerian distributor, oil marketer at this price, so they can sell to Nigeria at this price. So we can crash the price of this product. Because we can give Dangote the crude oil that he needs. So instead of using that money to pay subsidy and giving it to people, and Dangote can then track the truck leaving, and we can identify the people moving the truck across border, and we can fix this problem. So I feel that there are more that meet the eye as far as the issue of subsidy is concerned, there's something that NNPC politicians are not telling us as far as this is concerned, because we really can solve this problem. Energy subsidy is not just Nigerian thing. Countries that want to support their manufacturers subsidize energy. Why? To reduce the cost of doing business and keep the factory running in a competitive way. So I feel we can solve the problem if you want to solve the problem. But see, right now, I'm not sure we want to solve the problem yet.
So clearly, we all agree it's failure of leadership, because
yes.
The custom is involved, immigration is involved, the Department of Security is involved, the military is involved. They're all making money from it. The politician is making money from it. I mean, I've read now that I was just going through a mail I got the Dangote people, they're already exporting to Cameroon, Angola, Ghana, and South Africa. That's highly commendable.
Dangote can do without Nigeria. And Nigeria will be the loser.
It's
it's painful the way we allow politics to affect the way we do business in Nigeria. We said refineries are not working. Someone invested $20 billion to solve the problem that government have not been able to solve. Instead of government supporting him, government agency are sabotaging him. It's unthinkable. In some countries, they'll be worshiping Dangote. They'll be worshiping.
Absolutely.
They'll be worshiping it. But it's like we dish our people the same thing we were doing to the doctors, to engineers, to IT people, to the professional that made them to leave. That's what Dangote said. If he knew he was going to face what he faced, he won't start.
Oh, wow.
That if he had the opportunity to do it again, he wouldn't do it.
And foreign investors are listening. Foreign investors are watching.
Yes, if we are doing that to our own person, someone will come out and say Dangote is looking for monopoly. What do you mean by monopoly? Tell me any foreign direct investor who has invested 20 billion in Nigeria in the last 20 years. Who is it? Why will he not enjoy it? If you say enjoy monopoly, you have Porako Refinery, you have Warri, you have Kaduna. Make it work so you create competition. Give license to others. Boy is already building his own in South. So at the end of the day, even if there's monopoly, it won't enjoy that for too long. We can't say it's enjoy monopoly. He invested $20 billion. What are we talking about? It's like you say he's who can compete with him? Who can invest that kind of money? Even foreign direct investment. Who can do it? So it just does not, no matter issues he might have, I know it's not a perfect person, he might have his issues, but we can't be treating our best this way. It doesn't make sense. In fact, I'm not sure I saw the video. He said his friend are taunting him. We told you now. We told you. You think you are helping Nigeria. We told you. So they are making him look like I'm a foolish person. He said if he has put that money in stocks in the US, by now he will be having over 100 billion.
True.
If he put that thing in stock in the US over this period, he would have made much more. But he put it on ground in Nigeria. See what we are doing to him. It just does not make sense. We mix politics with business, and it's affecting the people, and I don't think this is fair on Nigeria at all.
I think it's just corruption, actually. The people that are benefiting from the importation, I mean, the Rivers Port Harcourt refinery that they lied to us that is working was they spent about $2 billion for the turnaround maintenance. That's about 10% of what
if they calculate all the money for turnaround maintenance for that refinery,
I was going to say that
it will be more than what Dangote used to build.
Absolutely.
Billion barrel.
I was trying to make some figures out of that. From 1999, there was a time it was 200 million every year. There was time it got to 400 million. There was time it was 500 million every year. 800 million. Now we're doing 1.82 billion. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Anyway, let's just, I mean, we all know it's failure of leadership. Let me quickly share a story I read some time ago. It was about fertilizer in the north. Government there will buy, I think NPK, they call it then, artificial fertilizer for farmers in the north. But it didn't get, it was the state governments were buying, federal government were buying for their farmers, but it wasn't getting to farmers in the north that really needed it. That I understand they were selling it in a place called Bobo Daloso. That's the second largest city in Burkina Faso. So, and also, as I read the story, it was that Burkina Faso was the only West African country at that time that was subsistence in agriculture, meaning that everything they eat in Burkina Faso they grow in Burkina Faso. So when during Jonathan, Professor Adesina, who is now the president of African Development Bank, was Minister for Agri, you know, he brought this phone system that gave all farmers phones in the north so that they will alert you your fertilizer was coming, you know, that the fertilizer that was procured by government was getting to source. So there was really no room for maneuvering, you know, selling in Bobo Daloso, selling in Malanville, Cotonou, Iboake, Abidjan, and all that. So then there was problem in Burkina Faso. Nigerian fertilizer was not getting to them again. Just like you said that people were grumbling in neighboring countries when we
are subsidizing them.
We're subsidizing them. So that was the time people revolted and when Blaise Compaoré was removed from where I understand
Oh, are you serious? So it contributed to
to that revolt. God. There was no fertilizer. Yeah, they were specific the Bobo Dalo, so that's the second biggest. So at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of positive way Nigeria can leverage his power in the West African sovereignty. I just think it's failure of leadership. You understand? I mean, look at this man, Akim Adesina. That's a presidential material by any standard available. I see no reason, you know, and it beats my imagination. You know, I've been condemned for it.
We built a system that ensured the brightest and the best does not get the position. It's just unthinkable.
It's unbelievable.
We built a system that ensures that. Why? Because the people who have held the country hostage, state capture, we ensure that whoever gets there do their bidding, or at least they have influence on their decision by probably deciding who gets there or who is around them. And they will do everything possible to be able to bring that from happening, which is why I strongly believe with people that said we need a total turnaround. I don't want to use the word revolution, but we need a total turnaround.
No, I mean, it's not an exaggeration. I'll tell you for a fact that everywhere I've worked, you know, outside Nigeria, it was on merit. I didn't know anybody there. Nobody gave me a note. It was just on the merit and all that, you know. Like in America now, they tell you there's racism. Yeah, there might be, but you've had a black president, a black woman almost.
They don't joke with.
Yeah, equality, yeah. 7 out of 10 black doctors are Nigerians. You understand? So we have kids in university, they're all graduated. You know, in this country now, there's almost no university, especially the Ivy League, that if you go to their graduation and look at the program for the event, it's Nigerians, all the Igbo, Yorubas, you know, I mean, Middle Belters, Nigerians everywhere. Now, those kids, if we're not careful, will never, ever
come back.
You know, come back. Unfortunately, also, you know, with the rate at which are going, some of them, because right now there's still a lot of remittance from maybe our own generation to people back at home and all that. Those ones won't remit to, you understand?
No, they don't. No, those guys, they're not actually.
All right, let's go. Technological innovation.
Black tax.
Oh, well, I mean, the way they even talk to you, do we even talk to our parents like that? They will question you, ask you why, you know? So that makes the parenting now different from, you know, when we were growing up. So let's talk about technology and innovation. Where are we lacking? I know we're not there yet, but where are we lacking and what do we need to do when it comes about, you know, our port, our airport, import, courses to study, equipment, you know, the kind of technology we need. Where are we lacking?
Currently in Nigeria, there is this application called Single Window. A single window for trade that should enable integration of all government agencies. So currently in Nigeria, if you are importing, you will use an application called on trade.gov.ng. If you are exporting, use an application called tradesystem.gov.ng. The application for import was initiated, driven, put together by custom. The one for export put together by CBN, even though CBN owned the two forms. Now, government set up now what they call a single window for trade committee, chaired by FRS executive chairman, which a lot of people have issue with. That's supposed to be the input of private sector in that arrangement is not good enough. Now, with that technology, because the way trade is going, actually, trade is getting to the point where COVID, God forbid it happen again. If such happen again, should not affect trade. Because the the backwardness of trade in the world was exposed during COVID. How was it exposed? So if I'm exporting to the US, I will send shipping document to my bank. After the good is on the way, on the water to the US, I'll send shipping document to my bank. My bank will send it to a US bank. The US bank will release it to the American importer. American importer will now go and clear. Meaning there must be a physical document from the bill of lading to the invoice to the packing list to the certificate of origin. All these documents will physically shipped through courier. When COVID happened, flights were cancelled. Courier could not work. So we could not send this document. Thousands of transactions across the world were affected, delays, demurrage, losses because of COVID-19 pandemic. So ICC came up with a new rule for trade in the world, driven by technology, and they call it Uniform Rule for Digital Trade Transaction. Uniform Rule for Digital Trade Transaction. And the idea is to now facilitate usage of technology to ensure that when I do my shipment, I don't need to send physical documents. I will generate all my documentation electronically. They will be authenticated electronically. I'll put them in a digital envelope. I will send them by courier to the bank. The bank can review electronically, send me message if there's an issue for correction and amendment, then send it via a digital envelope to the US bank. US bank will review and pay on the same platform, effect payment to the supplier, and then deliver the document to the exporter electronically. And the importer can send those documents electronically to customs and the shipping line, get all the clearances done, pay, and move the goods out without physical document. This has been experimented between New Zealand and China. It was done on the platform of a technology company called Wave, and was facilitated by the shipping line MEX and HSBC Bank in in New Zealand and in China. Okay. Now, this is letting us know the need for innovation and technology in trade is so critical. And many countries have embraced it already. We are still very backward. Thank God we have automated import documentation, we have automated export documentation, but they are in silos, separate. They need to be brought together. All the other agencies that are left must be added. In fact, I'm looking forward to a time where in my office, I will initiate the transaction, consummate the transaction without seeing any physical human being unless during inspection at the port. Every other process. Currently in Nigeria, for export, we have 15 to 17 documents that must be processed with different agencies of government. The number of documents will not be an issue if technology drives it. But because technology is not driving it, because they are still physical, at least more than half are still physical, part of it have been automated, and I still need to do physical, meet people physically, is still a big challenge in that space. So the need for technology is critical, it's important. The government is trying to do something about it. I hope it will be successful. Even globally, it's a big problem, but the problem is being solved right now.
Interesting. So we're still far behind, but not too far behind.
Not too far, yes. Not too far.
That's do the Lome port and the Cotonou port, what are they doing better than we are doing?
Efficiency. Efficiency. If I bring in my goods within a week, it's out. Efficiency.
Corruption.
What you see is what you get. I can predict how much I will pay, and nobody will be uplifting my FOB value, making me to pay additional fee, and corruption at the port. Efficiency basically reduce cost. The process is fully automated. To the extent that importer will import through that place. Importers will import through. They will bring it there. They will not move it by road. Do whatever they want to do with customs to bring it in because of efficiency. The real issue is efficiency. Particularly for automobile, bringing it in, and a number of other products. Efficiency, cost of clearing are major issues. And they have been able to solve that problem. Wow. And they know they must do it. You know why? They make a lot of money from Nigerian transaction. So they must be better than Nigeria. The day Nigeria get it right, they will be in trouble. The day we get it right in our import process and make it efficient, my good coming within a week, days, I can get the good out. They will be in trouble. because most of the money they are making from Nigeria transaction, they will lose it.
It does look like it's in the interest of the whole world that Nigeria doesn't get it right. That nobody wants us to get it right. Evasion.
You are very correct. You are very
Honestly,
correct.
yeah.
Our inefficiency, our not getting it right, is benefiting a
Honestly,
lot of
everybody,
people.
the Europeans, the Asians, the largest concentration of black people. Sometimes people accuse me, why do you always talk about Nigeria? I said, look, it baffles me that a country with so much potential, so much resources, technological know-how. I mean, the people, human capital development, people that have developed themselves. Nigerians are extremely brilliant people.
Yeah.
We don't even have a functional airline. People say, okay, no more national carrier, but how many flag carriers of Nigerian origin do we have? The ones we have, we're killing them. You understand? There's so much frustration. There's no, I mean, I don't get it. I think
The
what's so bad
day
for me.
we separate, sorry to cut you, the day
No, go ahead.
We separate ethnicity, politics from the economy, and we put the interest of the nation first, we'll get it right in Nigeria. Most of the time, everything is done from the prism of ethnicity, religion, nepotism, hatred, jealousy, envy. The day we put the country first, which is why you might have issue with Trump. You might say whatever you want to say about him. As I listen to the news and I see the way this guy is using trade to negotiate with everybody, to twist Mexico, to put Justin Trudeau on his toes, that we have to come into the US to come and sit with Trump, and so that Trump is saying, do you want to become you can become a governor in the US, become 54.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
China, it's using trade because it just understands we are the largest importer in the world. Everybody is doing business with us. If you want to do business with America, then you must do things in American interest.
I mean,
so we've just leveraging on their strength.
Yeah, we've had presidents in Nigeria of northern origin that were more loyal to neighboring countries like Chad and Niger. Yeah, I mean, historically, I mean, there was a time, I think, an ECOWAS, OAU Secretary General, was it that he died or was sacked or something, and the Assistant Secretary General was an Igbo man, you understand? The then president refused to support that Nigerian, a Nigerian that people have been congratulating, or other African leaders have been congratulating that you are the next Secretary General of OAU. The then president, who was Buhari, I even have to mention his name, supported a candidate from Niger Republic ahead of a Nigerian because it was Igbo, So you can see that our loyalty, it just goes back, in my opinion, it just goes back to the way we're created, the origin of how Nigeria came about. And it gives credence to those that said we're not even supposed to be together. And I have, in my own research, and I've looked at it, that if you go to Zaria, where Zaria is located in Nigeria, if you draw a line, not vertical, horizontal line across West Africa, from Cameroon all the way across the West African coast, you discover that everything above that Zaria line, it's Islamic. In northern Cameroon, you have Marua, Garua, the northern part of Nigeria. There are a lot of Christians in northern Nigeria, but they're all below that line. Now, when you get to Benin, you see Malanville, Parakou, they're all Islamic above that line. Even the Tamales of Ghana, the Boikes you understand? The only semblance of a mixture of religion beneath that line are the Yorubas, Yorubas in Benin Republic and Nigeria. So when you look at it, maybe, and I rightly say that people should they cohabit with people they want. Because at the end of the day, really, at the end of the day, based on the ECOWAS Charter, is free trade, free mobility. You understand? We will still move around. You can live in Lagos and go to any part of maybe whatever name they'll call it and all that. So I mean, I think that until things are done with equity, justice, and fair play, we probably will never make progress. At the end of the day, why would the Onne port not work at full throttle? Why will Calabar port not work at full throttle? Why will Roro port not work at full throttle? I mean, so it's just I don't know. It's not just the marriage, and it's a failure of leadership.
It's a big, that's our main issue. We are not a nation
We are not a
that
nation,
really want to work together. And you know what's interesting about it is that we shy away from it.
Oh, we do.
We shy, we
Ostrich. We
will
play
do
the
like,
ostrich.
yes. So we are trying to solve the problem, but there's a foundational issue that we're not addressing. And if we don't address that issue, everything we build on it, we
Look at
always
it. Look at
have
today now. Tinubu is just putting Yorubas everywhere. You understand? I don't like it. I think it's not fair.
it
But
doesn't make sense. It's
yeah,
not, it's not,
yeah,
it's even,
but you know what? When Buhari was doing it, they overdid it too, So and if the next person, wherever it's from, follows that template, we are finished.
we have to,
You
yes,
understand?
yes,
Because you cannot
yes.
that is not merit-based in shape or form. You understand? It's
That's
not
exactly
merit-based.
what I was
Yeah,
saying
it's exactly, it's
about
not
people
merit-based.
living.
Not merit-based. I saw the new accountant general. I saw this, that. I was like, man. And Yorubas, coincidentally, I mean, Yorubas in the past were said to be merit-based. You understand? We really don't care who's doing it, so long you can do it well and all that.
No, but Obasanjo did that. Obasanjo
I
did
mean,
that. So it
Obasanjo
wasn't
did it.
something Obasanjo did that. So it's not like we've not done it before. Obasanjo did that. So if Obasanjo did it because of, and I think it's the last that, okay, Jonathan also did something a bit better. But since Buhari till now, it seems as if we have gone back to that mode.
Let me ask you, our time is gone, but I'll still ask you this. Have you been consulted based on your expertise? Has the government ever called you to come and offer your expertise, consultation and all that?
No, no,
Are you
no.
kidding me? I mean,
No.
I'm reading
The same thing I talked to you about. The same thing I talked to you about. The issue is someone somewhere have another candidate because it's all about money I will make. It's not about the value to be delivered. So someone somewhere prefers someone else to be able to do whatever it is that will be done. No, I've not been.
That doesn't have your CV. Can you imagine that? I mean, yeah, Yoruba, it should be, because you should. There's no reason you shouldn't be on the board of the Nigeria Export Promotion Council. Honestly, based on your pedigree, I've seen what you do.
You're not the first. You're not the first person talking about it.
Yeah, because Lagos Chambers of Commerce, the most serious chambers of commerce in Nigeria, of course, they don't joke with you. The Lagos business. I know. I follow you, banks, financial institutions. Well, whatever is bedeviling Nigeria today is the price the country has to pay for it. It's a shortcoming, failure of leadership. And it's unfortunate. What Ghana just did with the election will bring a lot of investment to Ghana. I'm telling you, the people might not, the economy is not fantastic.
Imagine a country just a 1 hour flight away. See what they are doing.
45 minutes, actually.
It can be done.
No, honestly. It's
that means it can be done peacefully. Do you know the interesting thing? Nigerian electoral umpire and the politician are saying we should emulate Ghana.
Can you imagine? Yeah, because they know they know there's nothing the people can do about it. I've concluded that it does look like we're just inherently dishonest. That instead of us criticizing those leaders are actually a reflection of who we are as a people.
Who we are.
Yes. Yeah. So we are comfortable with it,
Someone used an analogy. He said, if every 4 years you go to a basket full of eggs and you pick one egg, and every 4 years when you go to pick that egg, you open it, it becomes rotten egg. Another 4 years you go again and pick up the egg and it's rotten egg. He said, don't you think that basket itself is a basket of rotten egg?
Fantastic analogy. Fantastic analogy.
The fact is that we are just a reflection of whatever leader we have. Which is also the reason why we are not able to do what we need to do to put them in check.
I know.
Because if we are not, the revolt will be more such that they won't be able to do what they are doing.
Absolutely. Everybody is turn by turn Nigeria Limited, actually. Everybody's waiting for their turn to slow. Now our debt profile is humongous and it's climbing. It's going to get worse. So what we do and why we do it is just to put it on record, and we said it to so that anybody is trying to mock anybody. This thing is not rocket science. This is what you have to. And it's been done. It's been done. Look at Argentina now. The president is not perfect, but it's balanced the budget. Their deficit is near zero now, if not zero, and he's cutting costs. He's not living above his means. The guy is flying commercial. You know, we are buying a brand. Anyway, I think discussing Nigeria sometimes takes a lot of energy. So, Bamidele Ayemibo, thank you very, very much. You are
Thank you
constant.
again for having me.
Yeah, you are as constant as a Northern Star. We are proud of you. We follow you. I've spoken to people in West Africa that, I mean, they talk about you. People follow you, they know. So if Nigeria is not tapping, those are tapping. And please don't leave. We are the last one. So you are still our, you know, if you leave now, there's a, you know, I mean, I know
Oh, we are
something.
here. We are here. We are here. We are here.
I'm sure something we give eventually. What it is,
Yes,
I don't know.
I strongly believe that also. Strongly believe that also.
We can't go like this. So to our viewers in the 7 continents, thank you for your loyalty. It's a wrap there. God bless you all. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.